site. Structural issues for the building. Obviously, these buildings were built over time, starting in 1937, using construction systems that were typical of the time when they were built. So we see some priority one issues that were identified for the 1937 building. And these were actually identified in earlier reports from Engineering Ventures, who did a report for the school. The main chimney that exists, the 1937 building, which the boiler room below empties through, has significant deterioration of all of the mortar between the bricks, and there's actually some bricks that are failing as well. It really is close to a point where it may fail. We also need to address a chimney that appears to be abandoned, but as an open hole at the top of it. We really need to add a cap to the top of that. There are two gravity ventilation units that existed that were put in place for the 1937 building. Those should come off. They're leaking. And there's also a concern about the connection between these elements, these structural elements, which connect the roof rafters, which you see here, to the ceiling joists, which are down below at the second floor. We need to improve the connections there to make that more robust. And it's not very much. It's a couple of screws, a couple of nails that would do it, but it's important to do that, to get that done. And finally, a note about some rusting steel that's incorporated behind this limestone that's on the outside at the upper reaches of the 1937 building. We need to consolidate that and address that rusting steel. A few other issues down at the basement level: slab cracking at the lowest floor slab. There also is a crack in a structural wall down there. These really require some monitoring, just so in case they're fine for now, but we don't want them to get any worse. There's some lintels at the exterior of the building that are rusting above the windows that need to be looked at. And overall, some amount of cracking and displacement of the foundations at the exterior and interior, and we'd like to take a closer look at that. And then at the north entry to the building, there's some signs of deterioration of the entry ramp that's there. So looking at other areas of the building in 1957, we think through moisture penetration. There has been some penetration of these walls. There's some cracking in what we call step cracking through the CMU. Those should be repaired. Noted some deterioration of window sills on the east elevation of the 1957 building. And then shifting to the 1989, this is the ramp that's at the outside of the gymnasium space. That is in, so you can see here, it's in the process of failing, deteriorating because of salt infiltration and so forth, something that really should be addressed. So moving then, and again, the structural report that's included at the